Hi, this is Lada from astrolada.com with your June 2018 horoscopes, and this month there is one big event happening in the stars, in the sky. This is Mars going retrograde, and I'm gonna walk you step by step what to do because it's a critical, pivotal period. It can affect you for the next 6-7 months after that. But before I start, just to remind you that on the 27th of May, we're starting a foundational course with me on the 12 houses of astrology, house rulers, planets in houses. You don't need to know any astrology, and it's going to be 6 months, and it's only $200. If you get on before May 27th, you get $50 off, and after that it becomes $250. It's my most successful course, and I hope you enjoy it. But otherwise, Mars, and I'm doing the same intro for all the 12 signs because I want to explain first how Mars works before it goes retrograde. And Mars goes retrograde once every 2.5 years. It's a very rare influence, but especially when Mars has gone retrograde in Aquarius like 40 years ago the last time. So the opportunities and the changes in your life that can happen now will affect you in a way that they haven't affected that they haven't been like for 40 years, almost like 40 or 50 years actually. 1971 or something, Mars went retrograde in the same place. And what does it mean to Mars go retrograde? It goes retrograde towards the end of the month. It means that Mars will be closest to Earth. From our perspective, it becomes a super bright red angry star in the sky. It means it's very strong. A retrograde planet being so much closer to Earth has its influence overpowering. So basically it will be like a boot camp of Mars energy for us for about 2-3 months while Mars is retrograde. And the most intense period is when Mars is changing direction. So this is happening in June and then again in August, towards the end in August. So from the middle of June till the end of June, it's going to be super intense time for many of us in specific areas of their life. So basically Mars till now was moving forward. Just imagine it's like you're driving, you're sailing with your ship in the journey of life forward, and you're kind of doing it on automatic. And you reach to some point. This is Mars. Mars is our actions, how we move forward, how we proceed. And often, you know, when you're driving a car and you're always on the same road, you kind of zone out and you do it automatically. This is when Mars moves direct. There are no surprises, things go according to your expectations. But now Mars slows down at the end of June. From the middle of June it slows down, the end of June it makes a roundabout and starts tracking back in the first 10 degrees of Aquarius again. So it means like almost like you reach a point here, you're driving your car and now there is a blockage. So something happens in your life that will require you to change direction in regards to your actions, in regards to the path you're walking down on. And when you're driving normally, you don't think much, it's automatic. But when when there is a blockage or you have to find a different road, you have to use a lot more of your willpower and a lot of more concentrated and focused thought, because now you're not on automatic. You have to find different solutions, you have to look for a different path, you have to fix some problem. That's what happens when Mars starts slowing down around that period, from the middle of June till maybe till the end of June. And it will require you to be a lot more conscious and present with using Mars energy. And Mars energy is moving forward, or your assertiveness, how you do things, your initiatives and activities. You can't just proceed on automatic. You have to be way more careful, way more contemplative, way more map out each step carefully, because you can make a mistake, or you can somehow hurt yourself, or you can otherwise, if you just continue like before, you can't reach the journey that you're supposed to go on. So there will be this slowing down and starting to move backwards, which means we'll slow down. Something happens here from the middle of June till the end, some crisis situation usually, or something that you hit some wall. And you have to change your direction of action. You have to change your plan games. You have to be prepared to be more flexible. And when Mars moves retrograde, it acts more like its second ruler, like Scorpio. Because when Mars moves direct, it acts more like Aries. Aries is move forward, let's initiate things, let's move ahead, very spontaneous, very, almost without thinking action. But when it starts moving backwards, it gets the energies of Scorpio more. So it means like we have to be much more strategic, much more planning, much more patient. Mars in Scorpio is patient and careful and maneuvers carefully. We have to use our willpower with way more precision, and we have to engage the willpower way more than at other times. Than we normally engage it. So it's intense period. But the ultimate goal of this Mars retrograde will be to basically help you fix some situation that is not healthy in your life or that's not productive. It's the ultimate goal is to teach you to use your Mars energy, which is initiative, assertiveness, courage, in a more productive way. If you're someone who is overly angry, something will happen here to show you that you cannot continue like that. If you're overly bossy or pushy or assertive, you'd have to reevaluate your martial behaviors, maybe apologize to people, fix something due to your impulsive energies before. Or because some actions that you've done before which were not with so much thought. Or if you're someone who has lower energy of Mars, so who is not assertive, who allows others to take advantage of them, who is not initiative, again you'll have to reevaluate your Mars behaviors, and you might have to confront those people that are blocking you from being, that are scaring you from being assertive, and you have to assert yourself. You have to, so that's why a lot more fights happen, a lot more arguments while you're readjusting the level of your Mars energy, how you initiate things, how you move forward in life, how you fight for what you believe, so all those things we're going to talk about them one by one. And Marina is doing a webinar on Mars retrograde as well in June. You can check, it's very cheap, I think it's $20 only. You can check her webinar as well, and there's a link below, and join her as well to see personally how it's going to affect you, because those predictions that I do, they're more general. They don't see specifically in your horoscope, but in that webinar she'll show you how to do it. So for Gemini Sun, Moon or Rising people, Mars goes retrograde in your 9th house. Actually, you're one of the people that are getting the more favorable and easier to deal with Mars retrograde energies. And because Mars is in an air sign and you're air sign, you're Gemini, so it makes like a helping trine aspects to you. So it can be very helpful for you, in some way, even though it will require more energy and to fix something and to go back over something, especially in regards to your plans for the future, because the 9th house, where Mars goes retrograde, is your future plans. Imagine you've envisioned your future in a certain way, and from the middle of June something happens that makes you reconsider your goals for the future, even far ahead future. That, for example, 9th house rules higher education and pre-qualification. All of a sudden you might realize that you want to be in a different career down the future, and that you need to maybe kind of pre-qualify or do something, basically change direction in regards to how you go about your long-term, your plans for the future, the 9th house. So some of you might, for example, be in a more have an opportunity to be in a more intense kind of pre-qualifying course, or studying something. 9th house is higher education, studying, but it will require 3 times more energies. It will require 3 times more efforts from you. So you can have more of a summer that is more intense in regards to higher mental education or higher research of some sort, or maybe you want to enter into certain university and Mars goes retrograde and you hit some wall and you have to work harder in order to get accepted to that university. Or maybe maybe you're already in university, or you're studying something and you reach the end of the rope when Mars starts turning retrograde, and you decide like, okay, I have to change my higher degree, like I'm gonna start, this is not working as it is. Something happens, something makes you aware that you can't continue on the same road. You have to retrace your step or change direction, generally in regards to higher education, your university studies of some sort, or your plans for the future generally. But it can be a great time to pre-qualify as well, just more more efforts are needed. Ninth house is also the house in Vedic astrology of the father figures and teachers. So there might be some kind of a crisis that happens there with such people, maybe a clash, maybe a fight that happens. I remember when Mars went retrograde in my ninth house, I was fighting with my dad a lot. That allows you to kind of so you have to be more careful. You don't want it to turn into some bigger problem. Or some mentor figures, father figures, you know, you might be clashing opinions, so there might be some more stressful situations in the life of those people represented by the ninth house that you have to help them with, or you have to put more energy into. But again, by the end of this period, you can, which is basically September onwards, you could have, you know, if you had to work harder for some university degree or change direction, you would be on a more correct path, on a path that is more, you'd have some breakthrough, you know, when Mars turns direct, basically. But now is the time when the change of direction happens first. And also ninth house is foreign countries, living in foreign countries, traveling to foreign countries as well. So your plans for that might change, and you might have to make some kind of a redirection and put extra energy if you're waiting for a visa, for example. That's my thing. I've been waiting forever. But Mars going retrograde there, you might have to say, sort out the documents extra, maybe something is missing, you have to reapply again, or put some effort, you know, hire some lawyer or something like that. Ninth house is also the house of legal battles. Because it's the law, the ninth house rules the law system, you know, and for some of you might be that you need to prepare for certain legal battle, but don't start legal battles yourself when Mars goes retrograde. Usually when a planet goes retrograde, you shouldn't be the one that starts the battle, but because usually this is the one who loses, but you can be the one who basically if you're being attacked, you can defend yourself and win much better. But there will be something there that requires you, if you're involved in anything to do with legal system, or if you're a lawyer or something like that, that you put more energy or fix some problem or retrace your step backs, you know, change direction in some way, avert some crisis there. And on another level, the ninth house is also considered the house of your belief systems. So you might be reevaluating your belief systems. Your belief systems might be challenged. Your beliefs, your higher knowledge might be challenged by someone, because Mars is this challenging, you know, feisty planet, and you have to so be careful not to fight too much about what you believe in, because again, as I said, it can have more lasting results. But maybe some of you, if you're not assertive in regards to your beliefs, now you'd have to find a way to work through that and find a way to take your power back in regards to how you assert your beliefs and what you believe in, basically. Because you hit some crisis situation or some confrontation with others about your beliefs, and you have to either fight for those, or or if you're someone who is too pushy with your beliefs, you can see the consequences of being too pushy, that it creates some tension in your life, and you have to learn to tone down a little bit. So either if you are not being assertive enough with your belief system, so if you're being too assertive, the other way around, there'll need to be readjustment there when Mars starts going retrograde. So another thing that's happening though, it's maybe not so important, but Mercury is in your sign till the middle of the month, till the first part of the month. So it's a great time to communicate for anything to do with information, with learning, with studying as well. Mercury in its own sign, which is you, Gemini, Mercury is here, can help you, for example, when you communicate, to be much more articulate, to do some important speech, to be much more, for your mind to be way more alert. It's a good time for travels, that short travels of some sort. But again, if you're planning some long-term travels, which is the ninth house, Mars going retrograde, can bring some surprises that you have to change the plans for those long-term travels or faraway places that you're going to, or that maybe some crisis can happen there, or you might have to fix certain situation connected to faraway countries, connected to foreigners, connected to foreign business of any sort. But again, it can just indicate that there's a lot more by the end of this period, if your career is connected to anything to do with law, with higher education, with teaching, which is the 9th house, anything connected to foreign travel, to foreign trade, to working with foreigners or higher education or academics or teachings, it might be a very busy month or very demanding month, June, July, August, when Mars is retrograde, because you're working on some project extra hard, or you're fixing some problems, some fighting those fear, those areas of life. And when Mars turns retrograde, August, September, towards the end of August, September, you can have a more better social status in such circles, or in regards to, you can take your career, thanks to the hard efforts that you did while Mars was retrograde in this 9th house. All those things that the 9th house rules, you can take them to the next level after Mars starts moving direct. So thank you so much, guys, and I will see you next month.